My dear friends, see, let me tell you something about men. Sometimes they don't get it until it's gone. You can talk, you can explain, you can try to show him with every ounce of your energy what you bring to the table. But the moment you go quiet, oh, that's when the real shift happens. That's when a man starts to sit in that silence and hear it echo, because silence is powerful. Silence says what words can't. When you stop calling, stop texting, stop checking in, he starts to wonder. He starts to notice the gap, that space where your presence used to be. And let me tell you, a man who thought he could take you for granted suddenly realizes he's not as comfortable as he thought. See, when you step back, you're not punishing him. You're protecting yourself. You're saying, I know my worth and I'm not about to beg you to see it. That's strength. That's confidence. That's the kind of energy that flips the script. Now, instead of you chasing him, he's chasing clarity, chasing answers, chasing you. A man values what he fears losing. It's just how we're wired. When something is always available, always there, we assume it always will be. But the moment it's gone, the moment you withdraw your attention, that's when he realizes just how much it meant. Your silence forces him to see your presence. And here's the beauty of it. When you stop contacting him, you're not just teaching him a lesson, you're reclaiming your peace. You're saying, I choose me. That kind of choice changes everything, because a woman who chooses herself is unstoppable. She stops being an option and becomes the prize. So don't ever be afraid of pulling back. Don't ever feel guilty for choosing silence, because sometimes the loudest statement you can make is no statement at all. Let me tell you something that most people don't understand about relationships, about life, and about human behavior. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. I mean that. Sometimes the best move you can make is to stop talking, stop texting, stop chasing, and just be still. Because your silence speaks louder than anything you could ever say. See, when you're constantly talking, constantly reaching out, constantly trying to explain yourself, you're actually giving away your power. You're handing over your energy to someone who may not even appreciate it. You're showing them that your presence is guaranteed, and most people don't value what they think they can always have. But when you stop, when you go quiet, when you take a step back, something magical happens. The silence, that's where the magic lives. That's where clarity comes in. That's when a man starts to notice things he never noticed before. He starts to feel the absence, and absence has a way of shining a spotlight on your worth. You don't have to beg, you don't have to argue, and you don't have to explain. You just let the space speak, and oh, it will speak. It will scream louder than any text, any phone call, any message you could send. You see, people often think that communication is about words, but real communication is about energy, presence, and boundaries. When you stop contacting a man, when you step back and let the silence sit, you are sending a message that is far more powerful than anything you could type on a screen or whisper in his ear. You're saying, without saying a single word, I respect myself. I value my time. I'm not going to chase what isn't chasing me. And make no mistake, he's going to feel that. At first, he might not know what it is. He might feel confused, frustrated, even angry, but that's okay. Because confusion is the first step toward realization. Frustration is the first step toward reflection. Your silence forces him to think, forces him to feel, forces him to recognize the gap where your presence used to be. And when he does that, when he finally sits in that quiet and realizes what he's been taking for granted, that's when respect begins to grow. That's when appreciation starts to take root. Let me give it to you straight. Silence is not punishment. Silence is power. Silence is self-respect in action. When you pull back, you're not being cruel. You're not being petty. You're simply choosing yourself over the need for validation, over the need to be heard, over the need to prove your worth. And that choice will change everything about the way people treat you, because a woman who values herself commands attention without ever asking for it. A woman who values herself doesn't need to chase. She doesn't need to explain. She simply exists, and in her existence, she sets the standard. Here's the truth most women don't want to admit. Men often don't realize what they have until it's gone. And you know what? That's okay, because it's not your job to make them realize it while you're depleting yourself. Your job is to hold your head high, maintain your dignity, and let your silence do the talking. And trust me, it will talk. It will speak volumes about your self-respect, your confidence, and your value. And when a man truly sees that, when he truly feels that, he starts to treat you differently. Not because you demanded it, but because you set the tone without saying a word. So remember this. Stop trying to explain. Stop trying to justify. Stop trying to chase. Step back. Take a deep breath and embrace the power of your silence. Because in that silence, your worth is louder than anything you could ever say. And when you finally realize that, that's when you become unstoppable, untouchable, and unapologetically yourself. Your silence isn't empty. It's full of power, full of value, full of respect. And when you use it right, it changes everything. Now let me break something down to you that most people overlook. A man only values what he fears losing. That's not just a relationship truth. It's a life truth. Think about it. The things we take for granted, the things we assume will always be there, we don't pay them the attention they deserve. But the moment there's a threat of loss, the moment that stability shakes, suddenly we start to see just how important it was. And men, we are notorious for this. See, when a man believes you'll always answer the phone, always respond to his texts, always show up no matter how he treats you, he doesn't feel any urgency. He doesn't feel any pressure to step up, because deep down he thinks she ain't going anywhere, and the minute he thinks that, his effort drops. Not because he doesn't like you, not because he doesn't care, but because comfort is the enemy of appreciation. Comfort makes people lazy, and men are no exception. But take that comfort away. Step back. Create distance. Remove yourself from the picture for a while. Suddenly the game changes. All of a sudden, he's thinking, wait, where is she? Why hasn't she called? Why hasn't she texted? Who's she talking to? That silence creates fear. And in that fear, value is born. Because a man only starts to value you when he feels that there's a chance he could lose you. This isn't about manipulation. Don't get it twisted. This is about psychology, about human behavior. It's not about playing games. It's about understanding your worth and refusing to hand it out cheaply. Because if you keep showing up without requiring effort, you're teaching him that your presence costs nothing. But when you step back, you're teaching him that your presence has a price, and that price is respect, effort, and commitment. Now, let me tell you what happens in his mind when he feels that potential loss. First, he feels confusion. He starts replaying moments in his head, trying to figure out what changed. Then comes the frustration, because men like to feel in control, and when your silence takes that control away, he feels powerless. But then, if he truly cares, comes the realization, man, I miss her, I need her, I can't afford to lose her. And that's when the effort kicks in. That's when he starts to value what he had. Not because you begged, not because you pleaded, but because you created the conditions for him to feel that fear of loss. And let me tell you why this is important. You can't teach someone to value you through words. You can't explain your worth into existence. People don't respect what you say. They respect what you show. And the only way to show a man that your love, your time, and your energy are precious is to make sure he knows they're not guaranteed. That's how respect grows. That's how value develops. Think about it like this. When you own something rare, something valuable, you protect it. You take care of it. You guard it closely. But when you have something you think is common, always available, you toss it aside without thinking. The difference isn't in the object. It's in how much you fear losing it. The same is true in love. A man has to know that your presence is a gift, not a guarantee. He has to know that losing you is a possibility, or else he'll never truly treasure having you. Now, here's the flip side. When you finally embrace this truth, you gain your power back, because instead of chasing his validation, instead of begging for his time, you're teaching by action. You're saying, if you want me in your life, you better act like it. because I won't sit here and let you take me for granted. And that's not cold. That's not harsh. That's self-respect. And nothing makes a man value you more than realizing he could lose a woman who values herself. So remember this, a man only values what he fears losing. If he thinks you'll always be there no matter what, he'll treat you like you're replaceable. But the moment he feels that fear, the moment he realizes he might not always have you, that's when he steps up. That's when he pays attention. That's when he finally understands your worth. And once you understand that truth, you'll never have to chase, beg, or explain again, because you'll let his fear of losing you create the value you've had all along. Let me tell you something most people overlook. Your greatest weapon, your greatest strength, your greatest advantage in life and relationships is not your beauty, not your words, not even your effort. It's your peace. Your peace is power. When you learn how to protect it, how to guard it, how to prioritize it, you stop letting anybody control your emotions. You stop letting people dictate how you feel about yourself. And when you reach that place, you become untouchable. See, too many people give away their peace like it's free. They allow arguments to steal it. They allow unanswered texts to shake it. They allow someone's lack of effort to disturb it. But here's the truth. Peace is priceless. Peace is the thing that keeps you centered, keeps you focused, keeps you strong. And once you let someone disrupt it, they control you. That's the real test. The question is never, does he like me? Will he call me back? The real question is, do I value myself enough to keep my peace even when he doesn't show up the way I want? Because here's the reality. When you stop contacting a man, when you stop chasing, you're not just giving him silence. You're giving yourself peace. You're saying, I don't need to stress. I don't need to beg. I don't need to lose myself trying to hold on to someone who isn't holding on to me. And that right there is power. That's not weakness. That's not indifference. That's strength. It's choosing you. Think about it. When you argue, when you over-explain, when you fight to be seen or heard, what happens? You end up drained. You end up frustrated. You end up feeling less than who you really are. But when you step back, when you say, I'm not going to disturb my spirit for someone who doesn't value it, suddenly everything changes. Your energy shifts. Your mindset clears. And in that clarity, you realize something. You never needed him to bring you peace. You had it all along. You just needed to protect it. And let me tell you something about men. They can feel it when a woman is at peace. They can sense when you're not pressed, when you're not desperate, when you're not chasing. That energy is powerful because it flips the dynamic. Suddenly, you're not the one waiting by the phone, stressing over his every move. You're the one living, thriving, glowing, while he's sitting there wondering why you're so calm, why you're not worried, why you're not chasing. And that confusion, that's what draws him in. That's what makes him rethink how he's been treating you. Because nothing commands respect like a woman who guards her peace. But let me make this clear. This isn't about making him chase you. This is about making you whole. This is about you realizing that your peace is not negotiable. Because when you're at peace, you make better choices. You don't settle for disrespect. You don't stay where you're not valued. You don't lower yourself to beg for attention. Peace makes you powerful because it makes you selective. And when you're selective, you stop wasting time on people who don't deserve you. You know why some women stay stuck in toxic cycles? Because they confuse chaos with love. They think drama equals passion. They think arguing equals connection. But let me tell you, real love looks like peace. Real love feels calm. Real love doesn't drain you. It nourishes you. And the only way you'll ever get that kind of love is by refusing to accept anything less. You set the standard when you protect your peace. So if you want to change the way a man sees you, stop giving him access to your peace so freely. Stop letting him disrupt it with his inconsistency. Stop allowing his silence to make you question your worth. Instead, hold your head high and say, my peace is non-negotiable. And once you start living like that, everything shifts. Because when a man realizes he cannot shake your peace, he has no choice but to step up or step out. Either way, you win. Never forget this. Your peace is your power. Protect it at all costs. Guard it like it's treasure. Because once you understand that nothing and no one is worth disturbing it, you will walk differently, you'll talk differently, and you'll love differently. And that version of you, that's the woman no man can play with. That's the woman every man respects. That's the woman who wins. Let me tell you something straight from the heart. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make in a relationship isn't talking, isn't arguing, isn't explaining. It's silence. And I don't mean silence as in coldness or punishment. I mean silence as in pulling back, reclaiming your peace, and letting your absence speak louder than your presence ever could. Because when you stop contacting a man, something happens. The whole dynamic shifts. He starts to feel things he wasn't feeling before, and he begins to see things he wasn't seeing before. See, the problem most people run into is they think they can talk someone into respecting them, convince someone into valuing them, or beg someone into appreciating them. But life, and especially love, doesn't work like that. You can't teach somebody your worth through words. You teach it through actions, through boundaries, and through knowing when to go quiet. Here's the first truth. Your silence speaks louder than your words. A man can tune out your voice. He can ignore your texts. He can dismiss your explanations, but what he can't ignore is the silence. That silence gets loud in his mind. That silence creates space where your energy used to be. And in that space, he starts to feel something he never had to feel before, the weight of your absence. See, when you're constantly available, constantly reaching out, constantly making the effort, he doesn't have to do anything. You've already filled the gap, but when you stop, when you pull back, when you choose to let the phone stay in your pocket, suddenly he's confronted with reality. And that reality says, she's not chasing me. She's not begging me. She's not waiting around for me. And that realization, that's powerful because silence isn't empty. Silence is full of meaning, full of boundaries, full of self-respect. And when you use it wisely, silence tells him everything he needs to know. It tells him you're not afraid to lose him. It tells him you value yourself more than you value his attention. It tells him that if he wants you in his life, he's going to have to show up. Not with excuses, not with empty promises, but with action. And here's the part most women don't realize. That silence doesn't just affect him, it changes you. It gives you peace. It gives you clarity. It frees you from the cycle of chasing someone who isn't chasing you. And once you taste that kind of peace, you realize you don't ever want to lose it again. A man only values what he fears losing. Now let me take you deeper, because here's the second truth. A man only values what he fears losing. That's human nature. Think about it. When something is always there, when something feels guaranteed, we don't treasure it, we take it for granted. But the moment there's a risk of loss, suddenly it becomes precious. When you stop contacting him, you introduce that risk. You remove the comfort he was relying on. You shake up the routine he thought was permanent. And in that shaking, you create fear. That fear is what makes him sit back and go, hold on, maybe I don't have her like I thought I did. Maybe I could actually lose her. And that thought right there, that's what creates value, because a man doesn't start to treat you like a prize until he realizes you can't be replaced. He doesn't start to appreciate your presence until he feels the sting of your absence. And that doesn't happen when you're always available. It only happens when you step back and make him see what life looks like without you in it. And don't confuse this with manipulation. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about making him jealous. This is about holding yourself to a higher standard. It's about saying, if you want me in your life, you're going to have to act like it, because I won't stay where I'm not valued. That's not manipulation, that's self-respect. And self-respect is what creates real value in a relationship. So remember this, you don't beg a man to value you. You don't explain him into appreciating you. You let your absence do the talking. You let his fear of losing you teach him what your words never could. Your peace is power. And here's the third truth, the most important one. Your peace is power. More powerful than arguments, more powerful than explanations, more powerful than any attempt to force someone to see your worth. Your peace is your shield. And when you protect it, when you refuse to let anyone disturb it, you step into a whole new level of strength. Because here's what happens when you stop contacting a man. You're not just giving him silence, you're giving yourself peace. You're saying, I'm not going to stress over this. I'm not going to lose myself chasing this. I'm not going to let your inconsistency disturb my spirit. And that right there, that's freedom. That's power. When you hold on to your peace, you change the entire game. Suddenly, you're not waiting by the phone. You're not stressing over unanswered messages. You're not questioning your worth because of his actions. You're living. You're thriving. You're glowing. And men can feel that. They sense when a woman is unbothered, when she's grounded, when she's not chasing. And let me tell you, that energy, that's magnetic. That's what draws them in. But here's the thing. It's not even about drawing him in. It's about drawing yourself back in. It's about finding your own strength, your own confidence, your own happiness outside of his validation. Because once you learn to live in that peace, nobody can take it away from you. Not him, not anyone. And once you live like that, something beautiful happens. You stop accepting less. You stop entertaining disrespect. You stop settling for halfway love because peace feels too good to trade in for chaos. And the moment you reach that point, you become unstoppable. So let me leave you with this. When you stop contacting a man, three things happen. First, your silence speaks louder than your words. It forces him to notice, to reflect, to realize what he's missing. Second, he starts to feel the fear of loss, and that fear creates value he should have seen all along. And third, you reclaim your peace, and in that peace you find your greatest power. You don't need to chase. You don't need to beg. You don't need to explain. The moment you understand that your silence, your value, and your peace are your greatest strengths, you'll never question yourself again. And that's when everything changes. Because the truth is, when you stop contacting a man, it's not about what happens to him. It's about what happens to you. And when you choose yourself, when you protect your peace, when you stand firm in your worth, that's when you win. Every single time.